Okay, we can carry on with, we have a question in the chat here with Liznu, who says, while trying to share plasma knowledge, I do it by trying to be a good example of health, morality, and conduct. Some people are curious and ask for knowledge. I try to adapt answers as good as possible. I try not to intervene on people's life. What is the best approach when they blame me for various things that happens in their life?
Let it be. They blame you for it anyway, good or bad. So you carry on the way you do. They blame you for anything. Depends, as we say, that are members of the party of winds. Depends which way the wind blows.
Yes. Well, you gave me some really good advice with that's like dealing with trolls, basically, when people they troll you on, they say they want to know about the plasma knowledge, and then they blame you for telling you about it. But you gave me 2 words. You told me 2 words how to deal with trolls. And you could say the same thing for those people that blame you for things. The 2 words were ignore them. And it was really hard for me to do that initially because, trolls and people that blame you and all that blaming game can get very involved. You get involved in the blaming or taking the blame or trolling and trying to control the trolls and rationalize with the trolls and this kind of thing, when it just it sucks your energy and your time, basically.
You do something else better.
And sometimes just to ignore them is the best advice, even though it's actually hard to do if you're used to getting involved in it all.
Mr. Kesh, can I say something here, please?
Let me explain to you something very interesting. We carry close protection officers with us all the time, most of the time nowadays. And very strange thing happened very recently that they're trained to react, even they are in your near proximity. And this gentleman sees another gentleman on the other side of the window. His immediate reaction was to react. And he gets out and chases the guy. The guy runs for his life. Even they knew each other. And then the guy manages to get where he wants to get to, save himself in a way. And I asked him a question, why'd you do this? He said, my instinct is to protect. When I stand somewhere and see another face behind a window, which is not supposed to be there, to me, ignites the condition of danger, and my job is to protect you. And if this happens, I have to go. I don't think, it's just automatically kicks in. And the only thing is, they knew each other. The only difference was the guy on the side of the window shaved his beard after so long, he didn't recognize him. And they always talk to each other every day, just without the beard for the first time. He didn't recognize the other side. And this brought to me the instinct of response. And I said to him, this is not the way to be. You've got to analyze, see what it says. There's no time to analyze. For me to analyze is your life. So I have to react. And I said to him, you got to be passive. See what's next. He says, there is no time for. I'm not trained that way. So we get used to reacting. We are conditioned to reacting. And this is becoming part of us. And trying to change it is impossibility for some of us. And this experience has brought me a lot of things, how people react, how people see things. They have to react. It's very hard to walk away and not to react. And it's the same with what Rick says. Just ignore it. And to ignore it is harder than actually dealing with it. Because dealing, you put your emotions out. And this is how we have become, we react. Very proact than actually to react. We are ready before even anything happens. And this is very, very strange. The way we've been brought up to become passive than reactive or preactive. And it works. I was clicked to be proactive because that way they keep you on the edge and then they use it against you. And in the past 2-3 years, I learned just to let it be what it is, and look up to itself. If it's the wrong way, look up to self is the wrong way. They count on your reactive, and it just gives them that satisfaction. I can do this, I can do that. But trying to not react is very hard, and it becomes your habit to react. And we learn a lot. It's just to just let it go. It's time for them to find another way to trying to get reaction from you. So while they're busy doing that, you carry on with your work. Yes, Azajun.
What I was going to ask, tell this person is this, my experience tell me when originally when I started to learn the knowledge, not only plasma knowledge and all the knowledge of creation, even in the past, the way human operates, because we come from the point, at least I came from the point, I know it all. So when a person start talking about a problem, I deliver the knowledge in a way that I'm kind of like acting like a boss. It doesn't come from humbleness. So when you start to understand the soul, and when people start to talk, when you come, imagine you are God. When you look at God himself, or the creator, he's always shining like a sun. It doesn't care if you're poor or rich, or if you have a big ego, not ego, anything. It just shines constantly. So when you think about yourself like a God, like a creator, you actually become like that. You will shine. So when you look at yourself, I'm shining this person, and I just listen to this person. When you start listening, not to want to constantly give them the solution, first of all, you understand two things. One is this person actually got this problem because he constantly talks about his story and really doesn't want to have a solution, or does he really want to have like to have a solution? When some people come and talk now with way I look at it or I see this person doesn't want to have a solution, but he wants to constantly say, look at me, I have this problem, because they get attention. So for me to give them a solution right away, they kind of are going to attack you. But then when you understand it, where this comes from, then you approach it differently. Sometimes you just listen and see what they going to say, or sometimes you understand this person really looking for a solution. So in understanding, I mean, looking at the soul, when you look into their eyes, you can really see through them if this person really want to have solution, because also you come from the below, you don't come from above. You become like so much like as if you bow to them, in front of them, and by bowing to them, it's just being present for them. And that way, the whole transition, the whole interaction between the soul goes smoothly. Either you go to the position that you offer them help and they accept it, or this person is not ready and they're not going to get hurt. But at the same time, when you listen, because your soul is shining like God, although you didn't give any solution, you change them. When you see them next time, you will see as a change, because the minute we go from arrogant and I want to give solution, because most of us come from the point of arrogance. I mean, 99% of us, it comes from that point. Although we are knowledge seekers, but that knowledge become a weapon to say, look, I know, but you don't know. You have to listen to me. I know it all. So when you don't say that, when you're just there as a being, your light is shining. So either you want it or you don't want it, you already affect them.
It's the way, it's the way when we go into teachings, we are always knowledge seekers, all of us. Nobody goes in as a teacher, even in many of the teachings. I see our teachers are always knowledge seekers. It's understanding that we don't know everything, and that's the pattern of life. As Rick says, I always go wherever the meetings are. I always am a knowledge seeker. I'm there to understand. The minute you become what you call, so many people ask us, can I teach? And we used to allow them to teach, 1 hour, 2 hours in different parts of the Keshe Foundation teaching. And then they call themselves professor at Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and what do you call it? All titles gave to themselves. That's when they lose it. That's where everything falls apart. So it's understanding at any point we are there to learn. And we always learn. One way or another, something new. Any other questions? Rick, or we're coming to nearly 11:30.
Yes, perhaps we can deal with a couple more hands up here.
Yeah.
Alexander, would you like to go first? Then we have Dean after that.
Alô? Tá me ouvindo, Rick?
You need what, Portuguese?
Yeah.
Yes. Alexandre Brasil.
Raphael's here. Raphael to the rescue. Thank you, Raphael.
Ok, you're welcome. Sim, Alexandre, pode falar, por favor.
Primeiramente, Rafael, quero agradecer a oportunidade que o Rick está dando e dizer bom dia a todos. E, posteriormente, a minha pergunta seria se o Sr. Keshe pode falar a respeito das negociações da Europa sobre os equipamentos de gás e a parte de energia. E, ao mesmo tempo, Rafael, gostaria que você colocasse que, para mim, é uma grande satisfação, uma alegria muito grande de poder estar aqui e fico aguardando ansiosamente toda quinta-feira para poder ouvir o seu cast. É isso.
So, Alexandre would like to know if you could speak a little bit more, Mr. Keshe, about the negotiations with the Europe countries regarding the delivery of the generators and gas units. And also he's adding that he's always very anxious for Thursday to come to listen to your teachings. And thank you very much.
Do we need the question again?
No,
Or
I was talking to myself while it was muted.
Okay.
So we're back on it, no problem. As I was saying, there are a number of European nations who are looking at and working, and as one of the leading European nations are pushing us. They want to see a working system, that it can be changed. And as I said, well, I was talking to one of our team this morning that we're getting pressurized, that they want to see a working system. And the reason I explained earlier on about that we're going to put a blueprint of the gas and energy unit is in response to not a pressure but request by one of the leading Western European nations in respect to this technology, to see how we can comply with it, how we can bring it out. But it is showing up the gas production, energy production unit this coming days is in response to our work with one of the governments. They wanted it has to be shown working, and then how it can be adopted rapidly. It's people who don't live in Europe don't understand or cannot comprehend what is cooking up here. We have prime ministers, leading industrialists talking about the massive problems, recessions, and lack of the gas and energy and the prices which has gone up, budgets which put into act to protect it. And in a way, they're trying to keep the governments and everything under control. 130 billion budget by the British government, billions of budgets and schemes by other governments trying to reduce the pressures. Yesterday we heard that EU is heading in capping on the profit the oil companies and gas companies can make, and 33% taxation on them, that they can share the income with the others and the public. This has become a reality. So governments try to find a way, and the best way to do it, it's the way I explained to one of these politicians very recently, is the way you build a house nowadays, and it has to have a standard, this and that. These gas production, electricity production units, hopefully when it comes and understood by the community, has to be part of the construction of the buildings. That every building provides the electricity and the gas, and you have it. It's just like you have a central heating. These units have to be as part of the building. This way, the pressure, the responsibility is passed on to the house owners and the builders, than government being responsible for it. And these are the things which is inevitable. It's going to happen when technologies like this emerge. When you don't need to produce gas and pipe it down the line, and you can produce it at home, then they tax you on the house. What you do? They have to find a way to get their money to get the services. But if they don't provide it, and you do it, they just like a television license. You pay a fee a year to the government. And this it's not just the Keshe Foundation technology. We see this coming up very, very soon. Governments will wash their hands of the responsibility of providing energy, because it's too cumbersome, it involves too much, and technologies like us and the others will force these positions. It's just a matter of time. And now with the situation, we see the spread of energy and how it will happen, and very strange things are happening in the Russian oil and gas pipes and the readers. We see many top Russian oil and gas people accidentally are falling out of the window of the hospitals, getting thrown or by the children murdered. There's a lot of realities which we don't know who sits with who and how much of this pressure is real. But some people are making money out of it. And European countries at the moment are on the edge of it, because it's hyped up. People are paying the bills. It's not hyped up. We are paying the bills. We see the electricity, gas bills. People don't travel because the fuel cost is so high. And as we see it generally, but situation is diabolical. And the way it comes and how much it will be pushed to what limits, to how much, we'll come to understand soon.
Ok, muito obrigado então, o
Thank
Rick,
you very much.
Rafael e o Sr. Cash. Muito gratidão pelas informações. Torço muito que tudo dê certo e que a humanidade consiga, com isso, evoluir cada vez mais e a tecnologia da Fundação Cash possa ser espalhada o quanto antes pelo mundo. Muito obrigado.
So he's just saying thank you very much, Mr. Cash, and I hope that the cash technology can spread around the world very quickly. Thank you.
We hope so. Thank you very much. But will be announced very soon. Short notice, the blueprint of the new hybrid system. And then you will see it and it will be publicly done. It's the first time such a system has been produced.
There's a question, will this blueprint from Dimitri, will this blueprint day happen before next Thursday?
It all depends. We were hoping to do it today, as our team was so much pressurized with so many other things. So we hopefully to do it as fast as we can. It is not easy. It's what do you call it? It's time consuming. You have to get it everything right the way it is. We have an idea of how we're going to demonstrate it, how it's going to be presented, and in a way you will see it more or less how the end product will show itself. We have a clear idea how we're going to show the system, two systems being fed by one system parallel. And hopefully in a short time, much faster in the following weeks, we will show a plasma power generator, a true plasma power generator. And then we got working on it to be done. Which doesn't need a commercial.
Dimitri asked, can we have 24 hours notice when the when you might have
have you ever
day?
had enough? Have you ever had enough
I
notice from
I was going to answer no.
No.
Just simply no.
We
never have before.
No, it's just that we share the knowledge the way it comes, and this is crucial to be done. The spread. There is another pressure on us regarding the new Corona spread up, the new version of Corona. How if we can release the package for it, it'll be done when we see it necessary. But what we heard, Chinese are closing different part of the Chinese mainland due to the new Corona. We just got to see if it actually takes hold as it was expected, or we're going to see another autumn of lockdowns and everything else. But we keep silent at the moment with it. But it's looming in China. We heard districts are getting closed 7 days, 14 days, and the rest of it.
Okay, perhaps we go ahead. Sorry.
I received a comment. Would you like to make any comment about what has happened in the past week in UK? We have no comments. And the same, I received a request. Can you explain what's happening in Iran? We have no comments. We wait for the destiny to show its time. Any other question? Or shall we call it?
We have Dean still with the hand up here. Perhaps we can hear from him.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick. Hi, Mr. Kesh. I think you've just answered all the questions that I had. So, so thank you very much for that. So,
what was the question you were thinking to ask?
I was going to ask you about the general situation with the technology coming out in the world governments, and obviously this is linked into the gas and the energy supplies and the whole release of the technology. This one key issue, one vital little plasma that just needs to connect to open the whole of it up to the whole of humanity. So, but I think these chess pieces are being played independently and in totality, and I'm sure you're aware of the whole totality of the situation.
Oh, we hear a lot. We don't get involved. but the best way is just to carry on what we are doing. The development of the gas units, the development of the new transportation or transmutation system. When we master it in a good way that we all to understand and done, then most probably it'll be released internationally. That's the only way it can be done. Once we receive our securities the way we are working for in next time to come, Keshe Foundation will most probably release a lot of new technologies in one go, and we'll go for it in one go, because we are, what do you call it? We are more or less NGO, and once we have the securities for the long-term steps of the foundation, like the way we open the patents, this time we open other things, and we'll rule. We'll, as I said in the last week's teaching, we're just waiting for few pieces to come together and complete, and then we are ready to make that move to bring the change.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So just another quick question then. You said you didn't want to comment on something just now. So let's take it to another position. Let's talk about it in various souls are repositioning and taking new dimensions, whether they are from in society in a position to believe to be a certain height, and many people that are common and very beautiful knowledge.
Can I be very precise?
Please.
What I say, stop being Englishman, speak it straight.
Okay. So we're talking about the Queen of England died recently. You said you didn't want to comment about this. She's a soul. So she's taken a new position. You have knowledge seekers. There seems to be a group of souls, as there always is, that are repositioning in these moments. Is there any significance why a soul in any position would take would move regardless? Is it the field strength that's happening around the planet? Is it field strength around the individual, the soul?
They say individually based. It's individually based. It's time. Well, now it's what you call the Queen of England. A lot of things goes on till she's buried on Saturday, I think. But essentially, my first reaction when I heard, I said, thanks God. One of the most evil souls has left us. A lot of people think a different way, but we know what she's done and what she's been up to. And I think we might see a better life for humanity with Charles. But if you were aware of the conduct of this woman, trying to be, she's done a lot of evil things, very, very evil. And it doesn't matter, we don't get in conflict with another royal family or whatever, but she's been cause of huge, huge, huge problems. Personally, you have to understand, when you have to be the only one and you have to be, what do you call it, the longer one, you do everything for the others not to be there. And this behavior goes from before the time she even came into throne. Selfishness, and I have to be the only one. We've seen the whole series of the events in her lifetime. So people look at it this way, we look at it as a fact in the world, what do you call it, as a whole. As I said, my reaction was, thanks God. Let's see if the other guy is different than this one. We have now the same situation in Iran. We are aware that there are rumors and talks about the Iranian leadership. And it's the same.
Thank you.
We keep out of it because we know what they really have done, which is not in public. And anybody who was better was eliminated. Anybody who was popular was eliminated. Anybody who was loved by public was somehow put aside. And this was a habit of this woman. And for it to be in that only the best and the blah, it leads to a lot of crimes.
Can I ask another question about that, Mr. Kesh?
Yeah.
So I felt being born in England and being part of this field strength, I did feel in the last few moments, I felt some very uncomfortable fields. And I started dreaming again. I haven't dreamt for many years. And I started dreaming. They were sort of disruptive dreams and strange dreams. And I felt like there was an influence being part of the Universal Council, and that you tend to find field strength to come to you sometimes. And I seem to have experienced that. I'm not claiming anything, but that's just me personally what I felt. Now that soul has taken a new position, will the filtering system, will the soul of the nation, the soul, the healing process
will change?
Will change.
Will change, of course will change. She was one of the most selfish people known. And this goes back decades. And she had a habit of doing things her way. Nobody, I mean, if you look at it, the Diana situation, if you look at it with the wife of the new prince who had to literally abdicate and go to Canada. Why? Because they were more popular. There couldn't be another woman above her that was more popular. Loved by nation more, interacted with the nation more. It's been the same with the revolution in Iran. The revolution in Iran was set by her. Because the king, the emperor, what do you call it, Iran royal structure was over 2,500 years ago, and they had to end because she had to be the longest. When we had the celebration of the 2,500 years of monarchy in Iran in 1970s, as an insult to Iran, she sent Princess Anne, instead of world leaders came, she sent Princess Anne in Farsi means shit, more or less. And it was the biggest insult to the nation. And just because she already planned to end up a monarchy, that she's the only one left. Historically, she's done this all her life. And for this to be, she has caused millions of people to suffer. Most of the Iranian refugee system, you see Iranians across the world, is because of it. You see all the Libyans and Syrians, which are scattered around the world. She wanted to rob the central bank. Because where is the 140 billion which was stolen from Libya's central bank? It's in Crown's name, not in the nation's name. Crown jewels. Libyans are paying with their life, Syrians are paying with their life, and had to become assets of Crown Jewel of England. All these British died in different places. Where does all the assets go? It's the same as time of Queen Victoria. The high sea robbers became lords. She has a very, very, very dark background to her life. Doesn't matter how you're trying to butter it up or how you want to paint it. She lived a devious life, extremely devious life. Maybe with Charles we see a different thing because he tasted the pressures and the pains of it. We see now the reports of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran being in a dangerous position with his life. And we see a new cycle of monarchy in Iran is getting born, what they call religious monarchy. We got rid of a Shah to have no monarchies, so religious leaders have to come by the position of the intellect, not by birthright. And these things gradually goes out of the way anyway. And this comes from wanting to gain power. If the people are there through their, what do you call, the rights of intellect should not be the right of birth. Even kingship is not the correct way. It's literally like Pope appointing if he could have children as the, what do you call it, as the next Pope, holding to power. And these things will change.
Mr. Kess, sorry to interrupt. So if a soul, if a person has this interaction as a child, does a soul bring this? The soul is pure and it comes forward pure into the physicality. Is this so, or is there implications before?
There are implications before. The way you always say, the way your DNA is made, imprint of the past, the color of the eye and everything else, and the same as via RNA, those carry imprints into your soul. But in a different way that the soul knows the right and the wrong. And that's where we get these things. The problems between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. Wanting and holding on to an imprinting. Knowledge is kept, but knowledge is not done. And then we do things. And then our future generation, in a way, balance it up with.
So are you saying that the nation of the UK will have to balance many of the field strengths that have happened over?
They're always done. They're always done.
Mm-hmm.
Always done. Doesn't matter England. Doesn't matter who. They always done. Always settled. Always brought in the balance with its own. You think you get away with it, but long term, you see you pay for it. The best example of it is tribe of Moses, the longest tribe. They say we have history of it so many ways up. Look at them, what happened to them. Came nomad out of the basket, died nomad, and his people are still nomad. It has to be ingrained in understanding, not forced because of. It's a very good example of it is Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai built beautiful small cities around his emirate that the nomads could be put in, and beautifully furnished woods, cupboards, doors and everything. And these people are nomads, they're made in the tents. This is all it is. Some of the people in Dubai, you see the city, go inside and you see the backwardness. So he brought these people to live in these apartments, which was made by the government. And then after a while, they saw there are no doors in the house, there are no wood frames, there are no kitchen bits. The nomads took them and burned them in the middle of the kitchen because that's how they were used to in this desert. By giving does not bring intelligence and usage. You understand? So it is, but in the long term, you pay for it. It balances the books.
So the soul of many people with this discussion, it will upset many people that are royalists and follow them to the, it's the whole lives are built around this. I take no stance either way. I'm just as a pure scientist speak however, just in a true sense that what feels correct to me.
Yeah.
And so the soul, each soul is responsible for their own conduct, and as we know, And they carry that field strength. So, and inside themselves, each person really will know the truth of whether they are approaching something in a magnetical or gravitational field, a positive or a negative. And they will sense that in a split moment. And this is the soul interaction that makes us very aware. But many people deny this.
It all depends. We deny a lot of things. It's like what we are involved in Keshe Foundation. We set up a plan for Keshe Foundation about a year ago to bring it to a new dimension. So we worked on it. We've done a lot of things on it. And a few months ago, we got you knowledge seekers involved with it. And some of you helped us to do it. But the thing is not happening. And I look at it as there's a reason for it. It's not time and place for it, maybe. Because if it happens, it'll be fantastic for the whole change we're expecting. And I don't push it because it means it's not the time and the day for it. When the time and day comes, it'll happen. We put a lot of effort into it. It's not that it's for me, it's because I know it'll bring the massive change to the whole structure of humanity, what's about to happen. But do I go out to do different things with it? No, and the people around are all waiting. We're all waiting for this thing to switch over today, tomorrow, next week, and it's been going for nearly a year. But why? Why does it change? Why does it hold? Is it the time for it? I feel the time is very short. And when it comes, we all benefit by it. The whole humanity will benefit by it. And it will bring changes beyond imagination. Did we have to wait for the Queen of England to die? Did we have to see a change in the Iranian leadership? Did we have to wait for Putin to go to Ukraine? Did we have to get the Germans in another position? You can add anything to it. What it means to totality of the soul is not ready for that change. And when it happens, it means it's ready to go. Because I know what's going to do. Knowledge seekers are not aware of what is about to hit humanity. And I tell you, hold on to your seats and hold on very tight, because when we come out, it's a hurricane. It's not just a wind. And it's what benefit do you bring me? Nothing. It's just that I see it brings comfort, it brings advancement in technology and science and brings man out of the war zones and killing them. That's the only purpose of it. We are doing it. It does not matter how much we suffer, a few weeks, few days, but the end product is no one is in charge, nobody is in control. Man decides and man elevates his own soul. Just watch what can happen in a very short time. If what we set is achieved, be careful with a lot of things. And the thing is, you all participated in it. One way or another, small donations, loans to the foundation, you all put your foot in it. So we are all in for a change. The foundation has put all its backing and assets to it. Because I know it's time for change. And we take the leadership in doing it. And we have to do it the way the man is doing it. The old song says, it's the man's world. Let's see where we come. And then how the souls will change, how we change other things.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for explaining that. My question. Thank you. Thank you
very much. Shall we call it a day?
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, just a small question. To what extent, if you permit, to what extent can we minimize the work of people because of one, the education, the way they were raised in their environment? to the genetics, if they have learned only that in their family, to what extent they pay for those?
Pay for what?
Like a child who is, for example, maximum extent is raised in a family of thieves, and the parents are thief, and whenever he can cheat, he's being applauded by parents and by grandparents. That's the only value they know, and also the genetics that has been the same way. How can the soul be responsible?
It's the soul who makes to carry on with the same decision. It's the soul. And soul goes back to his roots if he wants to. We had this in Keshe Foundation. In the Keshe Foundation, at the top levels of Keshe Foundation, we have this. A person who was born in one of the most notorious pedophile families in the world. Family, the whole family is involved. Prison sentences for raping children, abusing children. And then prostitution is like you're going to work as a doctor, and is carried on by the rest of the family. But the person knows this wrong. And for time decides to change, but the pool of the what is born in does not allow it. She goes back to it. We had it in the highest levels of Keshe Foundation. Doesn't matter how hard the person tries, he cannot stop it. It's them who have to elevate their soul. And then they blame everybody else for it. They have that choice. We had this in Keshe Foundation. And they have to decide. They work hard to try to overcome it or at least cover it, but it's you who's got to be on top of it. It can be done. But if it's brought for you, as say, a thief and the whole family is there, they do it and they're brought in it, and then it's normality, it's their normality. But it's one person who decides to bring the change. But would they pull back on it? Would what we had or what to them has to be kept? They do their best to walk away from it. They cover it, but underneath are doing it. This was one of the reasons Keshe Foundation battled with the pedophile groups, because they knew right on the top there is somebody who has a history of prison sentence and everything else hiding underneath. We didn't know, but they knew. We washed out the Keshe Foundation with it, but it brought a lot of pain. But they go back to roots, they go back to the family. That's what they've done. And the family, it goes to the next generation. One of the most notorious pedophile families in Europe was sitting right in front of the Keshe Foundation. The father, the mother, uncles, everybody been to prison for abusing children. We had it, and I watched it. Didn't know that was the situation. And they've gone back to roots, exactly where they found comfort. The elevation of being in a good position wasn't good enough. They chose. And the children are carrying the same as the fathers were doing, abusing the next generation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. We We went in with Rick 5 or 6 years ago. We went through it. We couldn't understand how we are targeted so frequently and with all this pedophiles. Then it just came open. It was obvious. They knew they have a big point, they can push it. And there was somebody who was supplying them. But would they change? Even they pretend they sit as a lady. The whole family has sent prison sentence for abusing children, establishing businesses to hide, using the Keshe Foundation's name. You cannot change their grain, but they have a choice to change. It's them who do not do it, but it's too hard to not to go back to the past. And if you see in past 2 or 3 years, we don't see much of these people around us. We got rid of the root. They came as head of the education system. They brought them allies in different ways into Keshe Foundation. You couldn't understand how. You bless their soul. I hope they find peace. But it's back to the old habits. Nation and mother cult to carry on, because it's the behavior of the nation. Any other question?
Well, I think you kind of wanted to wrap things up here, Mr. Keshe. We have
Thank you very much.
And there, more. There's always more questions.
What questions? Yeah. Let's see what comes up. So, if our team manages to complete, we will announce, as like I said, 24-hour notice. Maybe it'll be a good time in how we do, and then we invite the officials from the government to be with us online, or if they want to be present to see the process through, that we start the next phase of work. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for another Knowledge Seekers workshop, number 450 here today. Our next public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace, coming up on, I guess it'll be September 20th already, on Tuesday, September 20th. And that starts at the 4 p.m. Central European time with members of the Universal Council. People are welcome to attend that meeting. Okay, I think that's a wrap for today. And thank you all for being here to be part of today's workshop. And we look forward to coming back again next week, if not before then, with a blueprint teaching, hopefully with 24 hours notice. That'll be a first. But we're always full of surprises here. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again. And bye, everyone. And we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version for